everyone, and thanks for joining. So, today we are thinking of discussing on the topic. I think most of us are aware that there are news of IT raids on Krishna Diagnostic, and I'm not sure, but the amount is huge, and there are misappropriation of approximately 100 crores if the news are to be believed. The assessment will be done by the income tax department. So let's see how the things will evolve. And as we often see, wherever yeah, we have Velumani sir. Good evening, sir. I have sent you the request. Kindly accept. Good evening, sir. Sir, am I audible?
You want me to say something or you have a question?
Yeah, sir. Please, would love to know your view on recent developments. And also if you would like to share your views on B2G businesses.
No, can B2G make you money is one question. IT raid Krishna Diagnostic is totally different one. If an IT raid doesn't happen, that means nothing exciting is happening. IT raid happens in many companies randomly, sometimes in some hint or clue based on a deal, or based on some of the complaints come from somebody stakeholder around. So IT rates continue to go. In my opinion, there is no company, big company, which is a listed company in which an IT raid has not happened. I think this party has declared in the stock exchange. I don't think everybody declares. So the raid is a part of business. If somebody has too much to hide or too much they have hidden, then that will affect the operations and business. I feel there may not be anything truly big and fishy coming out of this raid. Having said that, B2G make you money. Anything can make you money. Who said only B2C will make money? Everybody said B2B will not make money. And if you notice the way in which we were operating at a 40% EBITDA. So, scalable or not is a question that has a lot of subjectivity. And profitability is by and large how do you run it, how efficiently you place your operations so that you get maximum profit. And what is very surprising is for me till last 5 years the power of B2G business, government business involves a lot of challenges. Challenge number one, rate realized is low. Challenge number two, the payments are painfully slow. Number three, it involves a lot of times underhand dealings. Not a listed company can afford to truly do that. So these are all challenges, but I think that has been managed well. In fact, all these three beasts are very, very different. The most painful is the B2C business, where you have to answer to every patient who comes and every patient's expectations you need to manage. So B2C businesses have their own challenge, but you get paid royally by the patient because patient does not truly know he is underpaying or overpaying. In diagnostics, no one so far till last 3-4 years, no one was comparing A brand and B brand and C brand. When B2B I focused on, I was the only man to focus only on B2B. And my peers moved out of B2B because B2C was attractive. And I managed to do B2B very well, focused fully on B2B, allowing all the pains of handling the patient to the franchisee, giving him enough of margin but enough of headaches of data entry, data downloading, spending for logistics, all were in his head. But then that worked out to be a great business model because of fully automated systems came, barcoded systems came. So, in fact, my peers' HR costs were 25 plus percentage, mine was only 10%. That means I was effectively downloading all my costs along with all the revenues to my partners to give business. Of course, whatever the B2C business, if you do B2C business, you need to please the doctors. And that also is a cost involved in the business. Big brands say don't pay, but small brands have to pay or have to give whatever kind of gifts or whatever it is. So B2C business has very different dynamics than from B2B business. B2G business, it is the government's job to get you the patient there, and the government's job is to get you enough patients there. And one headache is not there. आज कितना patient आएगा? In B2G, you have at least 3-4 days of waiting list. The machine can run 15 hours or even 18 hours in a day. So when the machines are running longer, the revenues coming per day are higher. Trust me, whether you run the machine or not, in case of radiology, all the costs are more or less same. It is almost running like an aircraft from Delhi to Mumbai. Because you don't have a passenger inside, I don't think too much cost you will be saving. Again, 50 to 60% of the capacity is the cost. Remaining 40% is profit. Of course, if you get full B2C rate and if you can run full capacity, nothing like it. That is only a fantasy and dream. So I don't think the B2G business is any less profitable. I have seen the balance sheets of what was submitted in the DRHP. They are very, very good profits comparing. I mean, keeping in mind that is B2G business. So I don't find many players in B2G, though some of the large players have picked up little B2G business. Mine B2G business was only in COVID. In fact, my business in COVID was 90% B2G. And I got enough business. I must tell you the lowest price what was government insisting. And everybody in open was talking, isse kam nahi hoga, isse kam nahi hoga. But when there was a tender, in the tender, if at all I got my quote accepted, that was only 5% less than my other branded colleagues. So business सरकार से मिलता है तो ले लेते हैं. And I don't think it is truly, no business in diagnostics is ever loss making. Not getting enough business only is loss making. So I am of that opinion. B2G is no less. I have given my opinion. If there are any questions, I will answer.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, sir, I like the amount of unclosed income as stated in the news is around 100 crore rupees. So, how we should see such incidents? Basically, you were saying IT rates are common and many companies experience that. But again, how one should get to know about the gravity of the situation, if or how you read it? Sir, you are on mute.
Sorry again. Did that statement that 100 crore is declared as what? Tax evasion or
Sir,
mm,
undeclared. As per the news sources, it's the undisclosed income, and that will be assessed, and accordingly, taxation would happen on that.
I think you people should be extremely happy that you could invest even in undeclared income. And if such a raid gets all the income declared, अच्छे दिन आने वाला है. I think you should take it as positive. In my opinion, the IT is reckless in writing a conclusion. I still remember exactly 14 years back. I am talking about even before private equity came inside. The IT sleuths came to my office. They had enough evidence to question us, ask us all the detail. I'll tell you how the story went. A couple of them got their spouse and relatives tested in one of my franchisee outlet. Then they got the receipt for thyroid testing for 400 rupees. Now, with all the receipts in hand, with the reports in hand, and the report says all the data about their serial number, date, all those things, they come to my office. They make sure that they show us all the records. We had a clean operation. When 400 rupees is received, we actually receive 100 rupees. Remaining 300 is retained by them. This is a business philosophy. Distributor rate is distributor rate. Company cannot book the customer paying, because distributor has an independent identity, has his own overheads, and what percentage should be given is never even dictated by anyone, and nor anyone can dictate. So we gave all the details. You know what they finally wrote? Thyrocare has given a license to loot the common man. A test cost only 100, and they have made the franchisee to collect 400, and 300 rupees is evaded for tax. And they passed at that time for an amount of 25 crores. And we were not at all panicked, we were not at all worried. This can be called as tax evasion. And then they all get promotion when they write reports like this. And then you go to their in IT appellate courts, all of them will never tell IT man is wrong. Then finally, we had to wait for literally 14 years. And I sold the company and came out. And then we got the court ruling in our favor. ट्रस्ट मी, ये सब चीज सभी डायग्नोस्टिक्स कंपनी के साथ हुआ है. मैंने मेरी कॉम्पिटिटर से भी बात की, वो लोग भी बोला हमारे पास भी वैसा ही ये लोग कर रहा है. आई बिलीव इट इज समथिंग एवेशन लाइक दिस. And I must tell you, no one will evade income tax when they get into listing process, because yeah, cheating income tax is very small amount. But if you declare all as your income white, your multiples for healthcare EBITDA and PAT is so high. I don't that this can be tax evasion, though they were also my competitors. I know in industry what kind of challenges we are facing. I personally feel it is the presumption of IT. It is not a likely true evasion. This is with that limited confidence I can talk, but we need to wait what exactly is that statement meaning.
May I ask a question, Prince?
Yeah, please, Anish.
So, hello, Vilumani, sir, like a big fan. So, I
Thank
had
you.
this question. So, I recently went and met the management of Krasna, and the way they have grown over the last 10 years, 12 years is quite commendable, to be honest. I don't think any other diagnostic company has grown to that extent in such a short amount of time. And they were also they were also praising your work a lot, and I believe you also had a recent meet with them. So I just wanted to understand what is your view of Mr. Rajendra Mutha and Mr. Yash Mutha from a long term perspective. Let's keep these sort of IT rates, as you also mentioned, these are more of a short term phenomenon. Let's keep them aside. But what do you think what they can do? And they, at the end of the day, they are providing us the same test at 40 to 80% discount compared to the competition. So, do you think they have a long term viability? And as an entrepreneur, what do you think of them? I just have this question. Thank you.
I generally don't talk or give opinion about individuals or an individual script. With that caveat, let me tell you, they have come this far. Anyone who comes that far has that much of truth in it, that much of power in it. Such players who are having integrity issues or a very, very weak business model will never even able to cross a valuation of 100 crore. So, in my personal opinion, they have come literally from nowhere. I know the story of how they started a pharmacy, and in that pharmacy, which was operated in a hospital, they went on for more pharmacies, and then they felt they can do diagnostics, and they did place a couple of machines in private hospitals as a back end without others knowing that it is operated by someone. And I think they found a taste in operating a business and getting paid by one party. And then I think they ventured into government, and they have really scaled up well. Many also would tell that they get a lot of money from some politicians, this and that. I think all those things happens at a very, very small level. At a bigger level, such things very difficult to happen. So if you ask me overall, this B2G business has same potentials as B2B, and both of them have same earning potentials than even B2C. Each are different beasts. Each are at different costs in business. I personally would say they are having a good business model. If they know how to crack government business, which they are core strength, and then if you notice it, they operate nowadays using a cloud system. Until the cloud reporting all happened, there were some kind of challenges. I think they are matured enough to take the business. Having said that, every business have its own disruption. Sometimes disruption is because you lost focus, and then having good team and good promoter is likely to get long term returns. This is my opinion. I don't say buy, I don't say don't buy, but it is all up to you.
Thank you so much, sir. This actually strengthens my conviction a lot. So, thanks, Tom. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thanks, Anish. And Anish, you are closing this co very closely. So if you have any views, you can take, and then we move on to further questions from the audiences, which they have from Sa.
No, I think Dr. Velumani has already covered everything, and he knows the business 1 billion times better than me. So, let's move on to questions, please.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Sam Vardhan, you can unmute and ask your question, please. Sam Vardhan, are you there? Okay, we go to researching Indian stocks. You can unmute and ask your question.
Am I audible?
Yes, Sam.
Yes. So I want to ask question to Velimani sir. First of all, thank you for giving me opportunity to ask such of wise people in the room. I think lots of people in the room are long-term investor. So, so my question is to Velimani sir. If a company grows year on year or quarterly, and if you are buying at the low price or such a nice valuation with margin of safety, we as a long term investor hold that stock for a long term 3 to 5 years 7 years whenever the story gets जैसे जैसे स्टोरी अच्छी होती जाती है वैसे वैसे हम होल्ड करते हैं देन ऑल्सो एज एन अ लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर वी ट्राई टू लुक एट द स्टॉक प्राइस ऑन अ डेली बेसिस सो एज एन अ प्रमोटर आप थायरोकेयर जब ऑपरेट करते थे उस टाइम पे आप भी स्टॉक प्राइस डेली देखते थे क्या
इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन। देख तो होता था, कभी एक ही दिन में 40 करोड़ ऊपर जाता था वैल्यू में, कभी 40 करोड़ नीचे भी जाता था। देखने में कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, देखकर टेंशन होने में ये प्रॉब्लम होता है। तो तभी पूरा मेरा ही ताकत में बढ़ रहा था और कम होता था। और I must tell you here, the reasons why they suddenly surged, the reasons why they suddenly came down was never understood by us. If share price come down after quarterly results, that is because of the results. That hardly happened in 10% of the time. Remaining time वो अपना ये ऊपर नीचे होते थे. But having said that, I don't know whether all of you have noticed or not, I reached $1 billion valuation also. When I got listed, I was $500 million, and today it is $500 million. सुनो, 6 साल गया, टर्नओवर डबल हुआ, EBITDA absolute EBITDA डबल हुआ, absolute पैट भी डबल हुआ, वैल्यूएशन वापस उधर ही गया जहां 6 साल पहले था. तो it is not only the long term investment, it is a kind of ups and downs. And yes, I used to watch my own stock those days. Today I keep watching the stock, all investments I am having. आज भी देखो, एक रोज में वैसा ही 25 करोड़ ऊपर जाता है, नहीं तो 25 करोड़ नीचे जाता है. So that is stock market all about. Some keep buying after seeing some big fellow has bought, and a big fellow has gone, rest will then keep selling. तो ये उतार चढ़ाव बहुत होता है. इंडस्ट्री का एक उतार चढ़ाव होता है, इकोनॉमी का टोटली एक उतार चढ़ाव होता है, और स्पेसिफिक प्लेयर को भी एक उतार चढ़ाव होता है. तो योर क्वेश्चन वाज सिंपल, आप स्टॉक रोज देखते थे क्या? हाँ, रोज देखते थे, ताकि हमारी जो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर है वो हमारे ऊपर क्या सोचेगा. Because retail investors have a lot to worry about monthly swings, quarterly swings. Sometimes traders are concerned about daily, weekly swings. So वो देखते थे, सोचते थे अब बेचारे कोई तो पैसा खोया रहेगा, अरे कोई तो पैसा बनाया रहेगा. मैंने तो 1% भी जब तक मैं कंपनी होल्ड कर रहा था, एक शेयर भी बेचा नहीं था. बीच में 1-2% खरीदा भी था. So if you ask me, it was more for understanding what is happening, not to feel palpitations of ups and downs.
So as an investor how should we own a stock over the period of 15 20 years 25 years like a promoter so we can also get that kind of profit maximization in our portfolio if we hold good quality business over the period of time. So what kind of perception we can make in our mind to hold 15 20 years such a long period of time?
It's very difficult for an investor to know what all promoters know. Promoters are the ones who are actually running the company. They know when business comes, when suddenly a big order comes, that order is sustainable or not. That contract for 3 years, if it is over, do we get a better contract? What kind of pains are there in vendors? Dollar is rising every now and then. Various HR issues, various regulatory issues, everything the promoters only will know. The retail investors will never come to know. You only have to trust the promoter is transparent enough, will declare if there is anything. Sometimes a good promoter does so, but all promoters don't do so. So if you ask me, the best way to make money in share market is you yourself be an entrepreneur and you drive it for 10 years, 15 years, and if you can make it a powerful wealth or asset, you got it done. Then every control is in with you. But if you are investing in a company and that company has maybe a capable promoter, it looks like that he is capable because he was getting some breakthrough in getting lot of short-term orders. But does he still continue to generate that turnovers? Maybe a lot of strategies need to be revised time to time before someone else close by competitor disrupts. सो ये सब चीज बागर बैठ के इन्वेस्टर को पता नहीं है. तो अगर आपका सवाल को मैं जवाब देना है, आप 5 डायग्नोस्ट अगर डायग्नोस्टिक इंडस्ट्री में आपको इंटरेस्ट है, लगता है इंडस्ट्रीज में बेट कर सकता है. Industries are supposed to be seen as human beings' needs, desperate needs, aspirational needs, all those things you can assess. Then you can take a call. I will put my 40% money only in diagnostics. Then don't put that 40% money in one script. लालच है, आपको 4-5 स्क्रिप्ट में इक्वली डाल के सो जाओ. This is what I would advise as for the investors, because either I will get the contract or my other 4 competitors, one of them will get the contract, and that share will go up and you will have some comfort. I'm given a very honest answer. As an investor, you shouldn't be holding any single share for too long. But at the same time, let us say you bought a stock at 480 from Thyrocare and it has reached 1000, and you look at what kind of returns you have got, and if at any point of time it comes less than 10-12% CAGR, that is the time you should study gaadi chalta kyun nahi, and then accordingly you should review your decision. But having said that, सभी लोग को समझ में आनी चाहिए, आईटीसी 2 साल से बहुत ऐसा मजाक उसका उड़ाया था. आज 2-3 हफ्ता से वापस देख रहा हूँ वो जगह पे आए हैं. ट्रस्ट मी, there is no clear way in understanding what is true long term returns of any company, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we have Pratik Desai. Oh, Desmukh, sorry. Yeah, Pratik, you can unmute and ask your question.
So yeah, my question will to Dr. Vilumani. Since you are talking about diagnostics, what is your opinion on Dr. Lal Path Labs? And also to Prince, for mid-cap IT companies, to name Mindtree, Coforge,
Pratik,
can these become large caps?
we'll be limiting it to diagnostic or pharma space for now. And sir, if you would like to
Okay.
take, or you can, pass on because he has asked company specifics. So it's up to you.
Yeah, I think I love all my competitors,
Okay.
and all of them have matured over a period of time. Dr. Lal is in this industry for 50 plus years. metropolis in this industry 30 plus years. So it's very difficult for me to give an opinion. बहुत सारा उतार चढ़ाव सबको होता है, और रिसेंटली जितना जो उतर गया उतना कभी कोई सोचा भी नहीं था, सबका वैल्यू आधा ही हो गया। और मैं पिछले 2-3 स्पेस में भी बोला था, अगर आप डायग्नोस्टिक्स में इंटरेस्टेड है तो अभी नहीं तो कभी नहीं। तो it has hit the bottom, but in the last 4-5 sessions all have moved up by around 7-8%. So if at all you still want to get more, it is this time to get more. But having said that, diagnostics is going to be a long term business, and it may not give 40%, 50% CAGR. It should never be less than 15-20% CAGR. So I don't want to specifically comment about a particular script. As I said, I am also investor in all these companies, and I am pretty sure when I was driving my business, इस कुर्सी पे बैठकर उस कुर्सी का ताकत देखा था। तो अभी तो मैं किसी कुर्सी पे नहीं बैठा हूँ, सभी लोगों के ऊपर दाव लगाता हूँ, कोई ना कोई जीतेगा। दिस इज माय ओपिनियन। सॉरी इफ आई हैवंट गिवन यू specific answer. It has been the single largest player in diagnostics industry, and in fact in entire healthcare industry it is second largest after Apollo. It would certainly do well. It has sound fundamentals in place, but all of you got scared because of the arrival of some of the advertisement of the e-pharmacy companies. E-pharmacy companies कुछ भी करेगा क्योंकि उनका deep pockets है, और जो भी करेगा बर्निंग में रिजल्ट इनटू गुड business, or burning may result into poor business, or even burning may result into no business. When I tell business, I am talking about profit. Turnover से कुछ नहीं बनता है, profit नहीं आया तो investor को क्या देंगे? So that is the challenge for the guys who are burning with a full page advertisement. बट ये भी हो सकता है कि वो लोग उस रेट में हाई एफिशिएंसी में बिजनेस कर सकता है। अगर कहना है तो आज की जो प्लेयर्स जो भी डायग्नोस्टिक्स में हैं, अगर कोई सचमुच B2C डिसरप्शन कर सकता है वो थायरोकेयर ही कर सकता है। उनके पास इतना बड़ा नेटवर्क है, ताकत है, एफिशिएंसी है, कॉस्टिंग है, they can do the disruption. Others doing disruption depends upon how deep is the pocket. And if you put in $1 billion and burn it, probably you will get a $5 billion market cap. That is probably what these big e-pharmacy companies will do. But having said that, the diagnostic players, standalone diagnostic players, have clear 25-30 years minimum comfort, because e-pharmacy as on today, e-diagnostics as on today is not even more than 5% in the last 10 years. So it will take another 25-30 years to reach even to the middle of the pyramid, that is around 30%. So invest if you want to know. That is my input.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, Ramanuj, you go next, and I will be taking one by one, and we'll be moving some speakers on the listening mode after their questions so as to take more requests. Yeah, over to you, Ramanuj.
Thank you, Prince. So, hello, sir. I am a big fan of yours, big fan of ThyroCare. I use it a lot to order so many different tests.
Thank you.
And my girlfriend is a biohacker, so we have like a monthly budget for ordering tests for ourselves.
Great, great.
The reason I am calling, I wanted to ask you a question, is that I run a edtech company, and we are probably going to finish this year with around 50 crore of revenue. And it is my dream that we will do an IPO someday. But there are a couple of questions that comes to mind, and I often think of this. One is that I have been burning like midnight oil for last 10-12 years now, and working very hard, not taking holidays. So sometimes we dream that, okay, why not sell this? And we have, a lot of bigger companies who would like to buy us. We got offers also, but we said no, we are growing very fast now. We don't want to do this. But we wonder sometimes that, are we getting too big to get acquired? Then we will never get rest. We'll always keep working. So since you have gone through that journey and wanted to know that, and second, there is a fear that if we do an IPO, then what would happen is that we will always have to be like a slave to that index going up and down, and always like on our toes. So how does that play out? Is it like that, or maybe there's another thought that maybe we can hire a professional management and take a back seat? So just want to know from your actual experience, how does that play out for a founder basically?
First and foremost, no size is too big for an acquirer. I think recently 2 cement brands were purchased by someone. I don't remember who exactly was that. That's the biggest deal I understand happened as an acquiring. So acquiring can ever always happen. For every fish, there is a bigger fish to acquire. In fact, Thyrocare was acquired by a startup if you study correctly. So, how attractive you remains what who will acquire you, not what is your size. शादी किसी भी उम्र में भी हो सकता है, अगर होना तो हो ही जाएगा.
Great.
Number two is, yeah, it is painful to run an operation answering to the customer, answering to the distributor, employee. Yes. Then once you are listed, again, the investor also will join. So somebody was asking me, sir, how to have a long-term investment. This is the only way for a long-term investment. As a shareholder, you just invest money, you can sleep also. But as an entrepreneur, if you invest money, just can't sleep. Very simple. 27 years, in which 20 years I have slept in the laboratory. In the day, I slept and night worked. So all those sacrifices, hard work, all have been adequately rewarded. So if you do it, you will be rewarded. So size wise, growth is important. Don't get scared that if I grow big, someone will not acquire it. Once you become big, two options are there: remain private or go to public. Remaining private has its own comfort. It's almost like to marry or not to marry. You both have their own pains and pleasures. So once you are listed, if you are listed, then you will have a challenge of running a listed company in which तुम मेहनत करता रहेगा, तुम्हारे इन्वेस्टर बैठ के कमाता रहेगा. Sometimes some promoters hold only 40% and 60% is with the institutions and retail investors. So that is painful to run a highly profitable company where you as a promoter do not have any extra rights. Having said that, if you have to dilute, then only you can run, grow, operate, then that is not an issue. You shouldn't do it because somebody wants to buy it and gives you a better rate. The final question is, can I have a professional management and run it? That is the best way to do it. But the big challenge there is, do you get such a leader and team? I was trying to get, but I couldn't get. And I didn't get because I had a feeling no one will run it like me. That was stupidity. And I did not get because the kind of operations I had was highly organic stuff. I can't bring in an inorganic man to the top. So I was waiting for someone to acquire me, and I was happy to see completely myself relieved. Please pray for a relief which I have got.
Yes.
And patiently wait, it doesn't come. If somebody has fallen in love with you, you will enjoy.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. That was a beautiful answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ramanuj. Next, we have Chins. Chins, you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Thanks for the opportunity, Prince. Dr. Velumani, it's nice to meet you. I'm a scientist and I've found your journey and story behind Thyrocare inspiring, as well as your thoughts on entrepreneurship. I had a simple question for you, which is that if I studied Vijaya Diagnostics draft red herring, they told us a majority of Indians or the need for rural, like healthcare comes from rural India. And I wanted to ask you, if you were heading Thyrocare, what approach would you take to make healthcare affordable in rural parts of the country? Would it be better to run through contracts with the government or to create your own standalone centers? How would you approach this problem?
I had almost gone to, if not villages, all tier 3, 4 towns also. We had a reach for 4,000 collection centers across the country. That means I had the highest reach. Government is not the solution for reaching to the poor and needy until government pays. Now, if government pays, our kind of system could have afford to give government a rate and could have completely transformed the healthcare. Whatever I try to approach to different times to authorities, they felt ये तो चूहा है, हम तो हाथी है, क्या बात करना है. लेकिन उनको ये नहीं पता चूहा जो कर सकता है हाथी कर ही नहीं सकते हैं. So I did not push too much there, and I am of that opinion. For providing healthcare to the bottom of the pyramid, especially the diagnostics, especially the pathology, you don't need huge capex. What you need is IT, logistics, and HR. IT I had. IT is anybody can make. Logistics is managing to run, like how State Bank of India runs 15,000 branches. And then the HR use maximum efficiency of your machines by appointing quality HR. So this was the solution which I was dreaming I will do. But then investors came into picture, and the investors were, one thing I'll tell you, had I remained without getting into investors into scenario, I would have kept on reducing the rates because 40% profit is too much to work on. And then once I reduce the rate, the volume will grow. Then again, EBITDA will grow. Then reduce additional 5%. I would have reduced every year 5%, and I would have gone to the bottom of the pyramid. But once I got the investors inside, they don't like this theory, and they said, "Doctor, you don't worry about all these things. Lage raho, jo abhi ho raha hai, wo sahi hai." So if you are a scientist, and if you think you should, of course, individuals is not easy to do. I reached a particular size, and I had 25 years of maturity. But giving an answer to what solution is there for common man in villages whose per capita income is not even half of Indians' per capita income. Government should have collection clinics. They should collect the blood. They should ask private laboratories to quote rates for their test needs. Trust me, all branded players will quote a rate in which government can never do. That is what is happening in Krishna Diagnostics. The rate at which they do the scan, no government can do. So पैथोलॉजी भी वैसा ही जानी चाहिए. पता नहीं कौन सी अक्लमंद मिनिस्टर बनेगा और वो इसका बारे में सोचेगा। मैं आज ही कहीं तो व्हाट्सएप में या ट्विटर में पढ़ा था, education does not need a minister, ministers need education. Very, very strong one. So I hope one day somebody will think of doing it in that way, and that is the way to go ahead. Next.
Thank you, sir. Really well said. If I could ask just one small follow up to this, do you think our cold chain supply or the cold storage supply chain across these villages are developed enough today to operate a hub and spoke successfully? Or do you think we need mother labs on site to deliver all of these tests to the common man?
See, when I operated a business at 4,000 centers across the country, we could report overnight for 75% of the samples, and the next day additional 20% 25% of the reports. And we didn't do microbiology, we didn't do core pathology, we only did biochemistry, which is a stable one. Even if it is not stored frozen, it will still be for a week safe. So we have cold chain systems around. Whatever is used for medicines is the same system we can use for the samples to come inside. Some recognized players use it. We had used it as early as 2005 itself. I don't think that poses a limitation, and 95% of the biochemical parameters are temperatures insensitive and time insensitive, so there is no true challenge one will have.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all from my side, and all the best for whatever you take up next.
Thank you, James. Next, we have Swarnish. Swarnish, you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Ask someone else to ask. He is probably stuck.
Okay. So, Arjun Jani, you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Sir, I was having a question regarding like when sometimes when you are running the company and we are in stock market and we look at the management says that some they want to do some उसको जो एक कोई डिसीजन लेना है जिससे इन्वेस्टर शायद एग्री नहीं करते या मतलब एज ए प्रमोटर जो इतना बिजनेस से नजदीक है काफी और वो फील करता है, तो ऐसी सिचुएशन में मतलब स्टॉक शायद नीचे जाता है। हमने काफी बार देखा है कि इन्वेस्टर्स को लगता है कि वो चीटेड फील करते हैं, बट प्रमोटर फील करते हैं कि ये लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए सही है, इससे मे बी अर्निंग्स इम्पेक्ट हो सकते हैं, बट लॉन्ग टर्म में बिजनेस अच्छा परफॉर्म करेगा। तो ऐसी सिचुएशन को आप किस तरीके से हैंडल करते हो जहाँ पे पूरा मतलब समझ ही नहीं रहे इन्वेस्टर्स प्रमोटर की थ्योरी?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Company running is democracy. Like how 51% majority, if you have got, you can appoint your prime ministers, ministers, and you can take not all decisions, but you can take operational decisions a lot. Yeah, you want to change constitution, change something which was established. There are some approvals are needed to what percentage. Similarly, in company also, for everything you don't need to get full approval. If you have got 51% stock, and if you have got 76% stock, you are still a Raja to do everything. I think the disagreement comes between the investor and the promoter. Only some contentious deals, contentious proposals, where, hello, Deepak, please mute. Only in some situations, investors will feel ये अपना रिलेटेड पार्टी को मदद करने के लिए ये डिसीजन ले रहा है. एंड एक्चुअली इन्वेस्टर्स इज अ हेट्रोजीनियस कम्युनिटी. ऐसा नहीं है कि पूरा इन्वेस्टर्स एक साथ मिलकर हमेशा लड़ते हैं. अनलेस अदरवाइज वो अन्याय होता है. न्याय के साथ सभी इन्वेस्टर्स साथ नहीं देगा. So if you ask me, these kind of issues only come where the promoters have some kind of dubious proposals or projects or decisions which are fought nail and tooth by the investors. Sometimes they succeed, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they know they can't succeed, so they don't even fight. But having said that, if somebody has majority, allowing them to take that decision is very, very important. If you doubt anything is likely to go wrong in the interest of the investors, then you fight as an investor what goes wrong, what way the deal was not transparently done. All those things, there are enough of enforcement authorities who will look into it. But having said that, you ask a question, did you face such issues? I did face not any issues to go to anywhere else, only in the boardroom. And in the boardroom, if I realize I am not respected, the man who is arguing is asked to chair the board meeting. And I tell him, not only you chair the board meeting, you are the chairman and managing director. Please take the business ahead. I have full trust in you because otherwise you will not question my capabilities. वो डर जाते हैं. तो जो आदमी डरता है उसको ये दुनिया डराता है. जो आदमी को छुपाने के लिए कुछ है ही नहीं है, उससे सभी लोग फॉलो करते हैं. सो ये मेरा अनुभव था कि कोई मुझे सचमुच उतना परेशान नहीं किया था. But I am known for punchline, so I will tell one punchline. Either lead me or follow me, don't confuse me. Either lead me or follow me, don't confuse me. ये punchline मैं बार बार बोल देता हूँ. And as long as you can lead and you have confidence to lead, you can tell this statement.
All right, sir. So, Pluto, you go next.
Thank you, Prince. Dr. Willimini, it's an honor to speak with you. So I have two questions. My first question is on disruption. So right now, traditional pharmacies are being disrupted. You disrupted it. Now there are many players who are disrupting the traditional brick and mortar model. Uh, uh, Something else is also happening because I'm diabetic. And from my experience, I'm telling you that uh, now a lot of tests. I'm a novice in terms of medical knowledge, but what I'm observing is suddenly in the last few years, the pace of disruption in this pharmacy space is going to come from do-it-yourself kind of a tech. So you have wearables, you have patches coming up. These are very nascent, at a very nascent stage. But uh, can you share some of the insights in terms of did you look at some of these disruptions to the traditional pharmacy model, whether it is online or brick and mortar, but it still requires the sort of logistics of samples from one place to another. So, what kind of development is happening, and uh, who are the players that are basically working on it, if at all they are? And do you think this has a credible disruption in future, where even though some of the complicated
No,
tests
you
would
have
be
put
there?
so many questions. मैं पहला सवाल सब भूल गया.
Sorry.
You come
So,
back and ask 3 questions out of your long question, so that after one by one you ask and I'll answer.
yeah, sorry about that, Dr. Valamani. So, my question is there a disruption from, say, wearable tech or
Yeah.
patches where,
See,
yeah,
wearable tech are like 2 minutes noodles. They come, there is a market for them. It's a growing market. So they occupy a percentage of the total food industry. It will not collapse the food industry, because whatever comes, that is also a part of the total space, maybe 1%, maybe 5%. So I don't think any wearable anywhere. And today also there are wearables only to know how many steps you walk and how many calories you have burnt. And probably there is a glucose level which is seen, with probably there is a blood pressure which is seen. I don't think there is anything wearable in truly diagnostics, and I don't see in horizon anyone operating seriously wearables aspect. Some smaller devices are coming which we can go to a physician stable level, and things like glucometer at a patient home. And glucometer, actually glucometer glucose strip has not disrupted the market as much as what it has disrupted in US. In US it is $80 for a blood glucose test. In India, if you pay $1, the man will come at your home and take the blood and get the value also. So in India, don't even see glucometers and glucose strips have disrupted it so much. However, there is a percentage of people who monitor their glucose levels using glucometer at home. Answer to your question straightforward is, उसको डिसरप्शन मत बोलो. वो डिसरप्शन वो होता है जो कन्वेंशनल बिजनेस को प्राइस में मार के without sacrificing any accuracy, any reproducibility. These variables don't, this point of care testing has a lot of limitations, and still blood test is the best option. So that disruption I don't count till year 2030 at least.
okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering that. If I may ask another question, which is more related to the e-pharmacy. Uh, Again, from my experience, sir, I have been using, say, uh, one NetMeds, and what I have been noticing is that if I order 10 medicines, they basically come from different parts of India, and they are not very specialized medicine. Also, they might be available if I go to the market and buy it myself also. So my question is related to these players and basically trying to spread their maybe fulfillment centers and trying to throw business at them so that they basically enroll them and make this business attractive for their distributors or fulfillment centers, whatever. So, in your experience, uh, how difficult it is to basically recruit these maybe collection centers or distribution centers, and is there a churn there, and are you forced to basically throw business at them even at the cost of maybe paying higher logistic costs just to retain and maintain the footprint? Is that a big cost of business for these online pharmacies and even
No,
diagnostic in your experience?
your
Yeah.
question should have been, e-pharmacy companies are burning, will they ever succeed? Is that clear?
Yes, sir, in a way.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they are currently challenged by the logistics part of it. They are overcommitting, and afterwards they are struggling. I said for diagnostics business, what is most important is IT, HR, and logistics. Similarly, for even pharmacy, e-pharmacy business, it is IT, HR, logistics, in which they are only strong in IT. Other two things they are weak. The local pharmacy man is weak in IT, but he is very strong in other two. So he today is making some money, whereas e-pharmacy companies are not making money; they are burning money. Will it ever be will they ever make money? It is to be seen how fast these logistics puzzles are solved, and then the HR needed to deliver. So it is, in my personal opinion, they will struggle as much as Uber and Ola struggles. They will struggle as much as Zomato and Swiggy struggles. But having said that, if they perfect it, they can be the only option. And once the perfection happens, then the small players will not find a survival for them, at least in major cities. Having said that, always the local men will have some edge over for survival, or they will only ask the local man to serve, but for getting the orders they will make some small money. So a lot of things are happening. What emerges as a kind of successful strategy will have to be seen even after only 4 more years, 2025 में जब भी उनको प्रॉफिट बनता है तभी ही पता चलेगा कि सही स्ट्रेटजी क्या है. तब तक सभी लोग ढूंढते रहेगा.
Thank you, sir. That's it from my side.
Thanks, Pluto. Yeah, Ramanjit, you can unmute and ask a question, please.
Thanks, Prince. Hello, Dr. Velumani. Firstly, I mean, I'm thankful to Prince for hosting this, and thanks for Twitter Space, which has given access to people like us, to someone like you, who has done a marvelous job. My question is, could you share some views on, molecular diagnostics or something on the field of genomics, of how it is panning out, and how common it is now for people to get those kind of diagnostics in India, and if there are some companies which are working on that field. Thanks.
Right. Microbiology is a different beast. Histopathology is a different beast. Biochemistry is a different beast. I specialized in biochemistry. I didn't do microbiology and histopathology. As far as molecular biology is concerned, that is a fourth beast. And fourth beast got a boost because of arrival of COVID. The number of people who have now facility to do molecular diagnostics numbers have gone up. Again, there are two kinds of molecular diagnostics. One is diagnostic for understanding the infection and deciding the antibiotic or whatever is the solution. The next aspect of molecular diagnostics is diagnosing cancer and diagnosing whether a particular patient will respond for a particular drug or not. So these two things have bright future. There is a third thing, what this individual is likely to have as a disorder because of his genetic makeup. So currently in India, it's only the disease diagnosis happening, whether it is HIV or HBV or HCV or COVID, that is to one aspect of the molecular diagnostics. Hardly a few players are into cancer diagnostics, and the other one is the drug resistant diagnostics, and the third one is potential lifestyle disorder probability studying. In Western world, it is much bigger in size. In India, it is very, very small. Simple reason, there the per capita income is $40,000. In India, it's not even $4,000. So the cost of molecular diagnostics, what is happening in Western world, is not applicable here. But in India, no player is thinking, why not we do a volume business by reducing the cost and create a huge size. No one did it. What I did in biochemistry is doable in molecular biology. But according to me, no one is daring to burn the money large scale and build volumes. So, in my opinion, this may be a true size business in year 2030, not right now.
Thanks. And do you think that at some point of time, this would, like for example, the second diagnostics which you mentioned for cancer, if a certain drug would work on a patient, and the third one, which is to find out if the genetic makeup makes someone more vulnerable to certain diseases. Do you think, as in cost cutting, because if we know this, then definitely we would avoid a lot of unnecessary and irrelevant treatments, and we can have some precaution for genetic makeup, especially in the lifestyle management. Don't you think this would eventually push a demand for such diagnostics?
I'll tell you in simple layman language. In molecular biology, no one is operating commercial mm, flights. All are operating chartered flights. Chartered flights cater to the needs of one or two men. Commercial flights, there should be 200 and odd people sitting inside. People have a feeling, if I go to a commercial flight, if only four passengers come, what will I do? So, this is a egg first or chicken first situation. So, currently, some of these chartered flights are availed only by some of the richest in big hospitals, or they send the specimen to outside India, which costs anywhere from 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees. In my personal opinion, it should not cost anything more than $100 to $200. That's 15,000 rupees. So जब तक ये रेट में कोई करेगा नहीं है, वो वॉल्यूम नहीं आएगा. तो वो वॉल्यूम आना है तो ये करना ही पड़ेगा. So this is a critical situation. Somebody should get in and burn a billion so that they make a 10 billion market. Possible. People have to do it. Having said that, treating someone with a drug which is not likely to be responding is a crime. Next.
Yeah, Deepak, you can unmute and ask your question, please.
Hi, Prince. Thanks for giving me the chance to speak. Uh, Nalla Irkingla, Dr. Velumani.
Wow, Agarwala and Tamil, Badia.
Yeah, just a few words I know in Tamil. So I always admire you. You know, you have changed the diagnostic industry, and you made it affordable for many people. I remember, we had to pay 6,000, 10,000 for small tests, and then when we got the thyroid test for 800 or 1,000 rupees, the doctors would not believe in them. Doctors would say, no, I don't take thyroid report. Get it from some good lab. So first, I want to know that since you, but the thing is that I have tried many times, to test in different labs, but I've always found that thyroid reports are quite like similar. So there's not so much, but doctors don't want to believe it, sir. That's one.
No, don't worry. Don't worry about all those things. Now ask me a question if you have got related to future of
No,
diagnosis.
I just want to know, sir, like how, like since doctors say that how much we can trust the thyroid reports. That is the first question. And second, I want to know what is the like prospect for the diagnostic industry in short to medium term or like even long term, like 10 years. And how much is the competition from this e-pharmacies that that 1mg and others who are promising test at 100 rupees and things like that. So these were my questions, sir. Like if you could give an insight. on this?
Right. For the first question, I don't like to answer, but that you have asked, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Truth triumphs. And when Thyrocare has started growing and growing fast, then people have understood झूठ इतना तो नहीं बोल सकता है, छोटा लेवल में झूठा माटा हो सकता है. Then we all use the same essence. We are all enable accredited. We are all CAP accredited. अगर मेरा पास 1000 एम्प्लॉई है तो मैं एम्प्लॉई को चीटिंग करने के लिए बोलूं तो वो चलेगा क्या? नहीं होगा. So decent doctors have understood what these accreditations are. Yeah, there is a percentage of doctor whose कमाई में मैं बादल डाला था. वो डॉक्टर अपना ही धुन में गाना गा रहा था. आज भी वो अपना ही धुन में गा रहा है क्योंकि उनको मैच्योरिटी का बहुत कम है. Having said that, पूरा डॉक्टर थायरोकेयर का ये बिजनेस देगा तो 1 बिलियन वैल्यू नहीं है, उसको तो 50 बिलियन वैल्यू हो जाएगा. सो जैसा अरविंद केजरीवाल को भी फॉलो, ऐसे ममता को भी है, राहुल को भी है और अमित शाह को भी है. लाइक दैट एवरी पार्टी इज अ पार्टी. दूसरा पार्टी घटिया करके बोल के ये आदत है. So let's not discuss about that. Coming to diagnostics, I think diagnostics is not any temporary industry. Diagnosis is important. I don't think any industry existing today is any temporary industry. Technologies in that industry may become obsolete. So एक जमाना में सोनी 6090 का कैसेट था और उसके बाद धीरे धीरे करके बहुत सारा चेंजेस होके आज तो स्पॉटिफाई में आया है. सो म्यूजिक तो मरता नहीं है, मीडियम मरते हैं. वैसा डायग्नोस्टिक्स भी नहीं मरेगा, ऑपरेटर्स मरेगा और टेक्नोलॉजी मरेगा. नया टेक्नोलॉजी आएगा. जो टेक्नोलॉजी आने से पहले जो लेबोरेटरी उसको अपनाता है वो आगे बनेगा. I must tell you, long-term survival of any brand, any business is the high-level intelligence of the top 10 in the management, not necessarily top 1. So वो तो कंपनी बड़े होते हैं, वो को जो भी 5 करोड़ 10 करोड़ सैलरी लेता है, उनका काम कंपनी को टेक्नोलॉजी में आगे रखना, कंपटीशन से आगे रखना. एक चीज बताता हूँ, डायग्नोसिस नहीं होगा तो ट्रीटमेंट नहीं होगा, तो डायग्नोसिस तो जरूर भविष्य है, लगे रखो. I will answer only one more question. Sorry, I have something to attend. अगर सवाल है तो एक ही सवाल पूछे.
Right, sir. Ankit, yeah. Thank you, Prince, and thank you, Dr. Velumani. So my question is just a follow-on on what you have already shared. What you have said is that I just want to know if you are saying that, and you have very rightly said that the medium will change or the medium will die, but the diagnostic will stay. So if you have to take a 2-3 year or maybe 5-year view, broadly, how do you see the diagnostic industries as to where do you see there are pockets of clear growth or sustainability, and where do you see a lot of competition and where it will be difficult to sustain? That would be great to know.
Let me tell you, even if the diagnostic companies, listed companies, come back to that value which my market cap or share price which they had 1 year back, still you will have 100% appreciation. Let it take 2 years, 5 years. 5 years doubling itself is a very great return. So there are two people in the audience. One is the one who invested in the peak. उनको तो रास्ता है ही नहीं है. The ones who are likely to invest in future, अगर है तो अभी है. It will be at least 3 years, even if it takes. My opinion is within a year it should come back. But even if let's say challenges are there because of various disruption, 3 साल में तो वहाँ आनी चाहिए. So 3 साल में डबल हुआ तो ये क्या कम है. So this doesn't need any big brain, any big industry insights. It is the common investor logic that जितना नीचे गया तो वो ऊपर आएगा ही. So I still remain invested in Yes Bank, thinking that एक दिन वो ऊपर आएगा. आज लगता है शुरू में 4% सुबह गया था और शाम को वो ठंडा होके निकल गया. Look, with all said and done, the price entry is deciding your outcome, profits, returns. So whenever a script you feel it is at the lowest, you should be tempted to buy it. With one caveat, that may not be the lowest, it may even go down. But having said that, buy a stock which is sold at a lesser price than what it was, and if it is 100% less, you can, with a limited confidence, you can buy, but there are some potholes unknown when it is raining. Take care. Thank you very much, friends. I enjoyed almost an hour.
Thank you so much,
And
sir. Thank you for your time. And we also
bye.
have Aditya sir. Thank you, Aditya sir, for listening so patiently. And Anish also, like, would really appreciate if you guys can spare 10-15 minutes for, we'll be asking for your views on Krishna Diagnostic and the recent ID rates, how retail investor or maybe a newbie in market should consider such rates and how to go about it. In case if you are free, sir, I am sending you the request. Yeah, Ankit would also appreciate if you can. Yeah, hi, sir.
No, yeah, I know you sent me the request, but I don't really have a view on Krishna, to be honest. I also missed the initial remarks of Dr. Velumani. I joined a bit
Oh,
late, so I don't know what
okay.
he said when you asked him the same question. Uh,
Right, sir.
so I don't really have a view on Krishna, and not on the IT rates. I think nowadays IT rates, especially in southern part of India, has become quite common. So difficult to just infer anything from a raid. I think what is more important is the outcome of the raid. So let us not sort of jump the gun and wait for the outcome at least.
And Aditya sir said like the right thing, Matlab Velumani sir also mentioned a similar situation that happened with him, and it took 14 years. It took 14 years to get to the, to get him out of it, and he explained it in such a great manner where he mentioned how the IT department made the mistake of not understanding his revenue structure and his value proposition rightly, and that created a whole sort of misdirection. So the experience that I have had with the management, I've met them, and I spent a good amount of time there. I understood like how they built this organization till now. Taking this much amount of money with respect to what they currently have, it wouldn't make any sense on my side. But I might be biased because I'm also invested in the company. But let's see what the outcome is at the end of the day. If an opportunity does come up, then we'll see what needs to be done. But I believe that there is going to be the lockup is also going to diminish in the next few days. So we might see a good amount of supply entering on Krishna Diagnostics, and we'll see how the stock price behaves. But on the business side, I believe even Chins is there in this space, and the recent work that he did. Currently Krishna's Diagnostics current size with respect to centers is 2,100 centers in India. There is a single contract that most probably they are going to win on Rajasthan, which is basically whole of Rajasthan's pathology contract, including X-rays. So there's a little bit of radiology too. That particular single contract is worth 3,000 centers, and it's worth 1,000 crores investments, which is 1.5 times their current gross block. So this company has immense opportunities to grow. This company has cracked the business model in all sorts of manner, as even Mr. Velumani said that doing business with the government is extremely hard, and according to him, Krishna has cracked the code. Like, you can see the next competitor is just up to 3 states, and Krishna is already in 15 states, so they might be doing something right. And I understand there is always a political element attached to this, but then that's how you do business. There is no way, there's no other way. If you want to get this business, there is always that element, there will be attached, and that's what will have its repercussions, which we are seeing today. But will Krishna get out of this? Because the services that they provide are very much relevant to India, and they will play a major role in the diagnostics going forward. 5, 6, 10 years down the line, I believe so. So that will be my view. I am pretty much optimistic on the company, on the business side even today. Let's hear what the management has to say in the con call coming in 2 days, and we'll have a much better way to form an opinion then, rather than speculating today. One day we read a Twitter thread and we get bullish on a company, but second day we hear a news and then we get extremely bearish on the company, while there's an entrepreneur behind it who has been running the company for the last 15 years, and he has given his life to it. So we should be a little bit empathetic towards that. And yeah, that's what I have to say here.
Anish, when is the lock-in expiring? Sorry, ignore my ignorance here. Sorry.
Yes. So it's on 15th to 20th of August, and we have 3 PE investors who are involved in the company. So that's a risk, because we don't know who can sell and who will not sell and who will do what. I have a very shady experience in dealing with these entities. So that's a big risk, and there will be a big, huge supply entering the market. There's like a 44% of the shareholding that will enter the market. I don't think the management will sell. Management is like 26, 27%, and they haven't really sold a single share even in the IPO. So they are not going to sell. They do not require money as such. They did IPO. I did ask them the question that why did you do an IPO at such a young age? Because like you are just 10 years old and you are growing at 50, 60%. Why do you need to do an IPO? So their question was that they wanted to get detached from the PE investor. So in COVID, they had requirements of 25 crores. So they just required 25 crores. Now people are saying that they didn't report 100 crores of revenue, but they required 25 crores to invest in COVID related equipment. But when they approached a lot of these PE investors and a lot of other investors, they laughed at them, because like at that point in time, no one was willing to give them any money, and no one was willing to write a check, because the liquidity has dried and stuff happened like that. So due to which, like, the management took a tough call that let's go for an IPO, let's raise a lot of money and get out of this, getting another PE investor and then going, being dependent on them again and again. So that's why they raised a lot of money, and now they have like 300, 350 crores of cash in the balance sheet, and that will play a major role in creating a moat for them, because the business, as per what they are targeting, like 50% is radiology and 50% is diagnostics. There's a huge capital requirement to it when there's a radiology side of the business, and most of the contracts have radiology and pathology, both of them inside. So that creates a strong moat for Krishna, where they can put in a lot of money on the table. Like one of my other companies, Aegis Logistics, recently had 2,000, 1,000, 1,100 crores come into the balance sheet due to a deal which they did. And due to that, they were able to buy very strong assets at throwaway prices. You can study that. It's a very interesting company, very interesting play. So I'm just saying they are in a much better position. Krishna is also at a very strong position in the diagnostics industry. And as we said, like as Chins discovered that particular Rajasthan contract, when it will come into play, it will change the whole trajectory of the company, because the size that it will reach, that's going to be humongous. Like no other player can actually compete with them, and they have a potential to become one of the largest diagnostic players, or even the largest in India in the next 5-7 years. That's what the even management is targeting. Their management is targeting to become the second largest diagnostics player in the next 2 years. You can do your calculations.
Thanks for the insight, Harish. Very interesting.
Yes. Anything, if anyone else to add?
Ankit, you had a question from Aditya.
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks, Anish. It was great listening to you, and I hope what you are saying does play out the way you are saying. Uh, so Aditya sir, I don't know whether you heard my question which I asked to Dr. Velumani. I think he didn't understood the question properly because maybe he was in a hurry. So my question was not related to investors. It was more related to the business as to how do you see the diagnostic space over the next say 3 to 5 years, and which would be the areas of growth and which would be the areas where you think that there will be some problem. If you could throw some light on that, that would be, I think, really helpful for not only me but everyone who is there in this space.
Right. I will try to answer this because this is like crystal ball gazing. I'm generally very good with history and extremely bad with futuristic comments. But I will try to give it a shot. Uh, See, to my understanding, the area of diagnostics that is going to do worst will be the lower end of the pyramid, which, as somebody during the call said, may get substituted by online diagnostics, wearables, gadgets, AI. That's the area which I think will get commoditized really, really fast with the adoption of technology. Um, the area of diagnostics which is least likely to get disrupted by anything whatsoever um, is essentially your higher end diagnostic tests. Now, I am going to contradict myself also, but give me a minute before I do that. Uh, so, higher end diagnostic tests, esoteric tests, as these guys call them, in the diagnostic lingo, one, they are expensive, they are specialized, they require certain agents, reagents, which is not available with every lab, and it requires to be read by a certain kind of a doctor, which is again not available in every lab. So uh, that that is a very safe investor bet today. So as Anish was saying, Krishna being more radiology, so Krishna is relatively more insulated. Metropolis, Dr. Lal, again, relatively more insulated because they do a lot of esoteric tests. I mean, Metropolis has the largest test menu in the country, if I'm not wrong. Um, SRL, obviously, you can't buy standalone. You have to buy it with the animal called Fortis. So take a call there. Um, Now coming to the lower end tests and therefore coming to thyrocare, right? So this is where I'm not going to contradict myself. So while the lower end is going to be more vulnerable to disruption from various platforms, including gadgets and online and everything, I don't think it's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years. Okay, so uh, see, essentially, as I said earlier, also I'll say it again. In my books, disruption happens when the disruptor and the consumer both make money. So as a consumer, I make money by saving money. Something which I was paying 200 for, I am now paying 100. And the disruptor should also be making money while I'm paying him 100. Now, variables aside, all the other things which are trying to disrupt diagnostics, or even the lower end test like a glucose monitor or something like that, a sugar monitor or a BP monitor or whatever. Uh, these none of these online tests which are they are providing the online diagnostic chains, none of them are profitable, not even close to profitable, and they have zero scale. They have negligible scale today. Um, Over a period of time, they can gain scale, but they need to keep the burn going. Yes, Tata 1mg can continue to burn. Who cares? For Tata, it's a very small number. Yes, Reliance Netmeds can burn. Who cares? For them, it's a very small number. But the key question is you have to ask yourself and you have to wait and watch is that if they continue to burn capital for 5 years, 10 years, will Tata still be interested? I think they will be if that 70 crores today turns to 700 crores. They probably would be interested. But will that 70 go to 700 in 10 years? I don't know. We'll have to wait and watch. I don't sense it is going to go that way because, as I said, it's about trust and utility, right? So the somebody asked this question to Dr. Vilumani on thyrocare in this call that doctor doesn't entertain the report or doesn't rely on the report. So thyrocare took its own time, right? They were in the market for 20, 25 years before doctors actually started accepting. Even today, many doctors don't accept, but majority of them do. So that time spent is required to build the trust, and the reliability gets envisaged in the trust. See, if a patient does a Tata 1mg, a Reliance NetMesh diagnostic, takes it to the doctor, and doctor says, "Boss, ye kya leke aaye ho? Go get it done again by this lab, and then let's see what I can treat you with." So even as a patient, even if you for the first test you paid only 100, second test again you have to pay 300, no? So you didn't save money, you spent 100 extra, right? So I think वो बहुत बड़ा challenge आने वाला है, right? And that is what I'm seeing in numbers of healthians. That is what I'm seeing in numbers of Tata 1mg, whatever is available. Uh, Very dismal data, right? So मुझे I don't get a sense कि इतना easily disruptable है. This is potentially disruptable, but then you have to give time.
Great point. And the most interesting point which I liked was the disruptor and also the consumer should make money. Now
Absolutely.
let me just share one example which is exactly opposite to this. Maybe I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So you look at Ola, Uber, and look at the consumers. So
Right.
today, I don't think uh, compared to what the situation was 5 6 years back, neither the consumers are making money, so they are also very tired and fed up with the services, and nor the Ola Ubers are making any money. But the market has definitely got disrupted. So as an investor, I am more worried about
I understand.
uh, कि disruption आएगा, वो लोग पैसे कब बनाएंगे, नए प्लेयर्स लोग. आई एम नॉट वरीड अबाउट दैट. आई एम वरीड अबाउट अगर वो डिसरप्ट कर दिए एग्जिस्टिंग प्लेयर्स को एंड आई एम होल्डिंग दोस काइंड ऑफ स्टॉक्स, दैट इज माय वरी.
नहीं नहीं एकदम बहुत ही सही बात है. बट लेट मी काउंटर आर्ग्यू बिकॉज जस्ट एन आर्ग्यूमेंट. मैं आपको भी राइट आंसर नहीं पता, मेरे को भी नहीं पता.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली.
हाँ, वी आर आर्ग्यूइंग हियर. सो लेट मी आर्ग्यू. वंस यू सो माई हाउस टू माई ऑफिस इज 350 rupees if I take a Kali Pili. And what I do is generally before I go walk down to the Kalipili, I check the Ola Uber app. It's if it's anywhere between 350 to 400 because I get an AC also in a Ola Uber. In a Kalipili, I don't get an AC. So if anywhere between 350 to 400, I am okay with booking an Ola Uber. If it's like 450, 500, 550, I avoid the Ola Uber. I just walk down and take the Kalipili. Is your experience the same?
Yes, sir. Pretty much same.
So then this is not disruption. No, you are so when you are availing the ride at 350 to 400, at that time the Ola Uber guys are not making money, and which is why you have recently read Ola and Uber are thinking of merging in India, right? Have you read that? Heard that?
Yes, 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 yes.
It was on the feeds 2 days, 3 days back, I think. So that is number one. Number two, once you get to your office through an Ola Uber, does your boss ask how good the ride was, and therefore he will allow you to, or he will appraise you according to the ride? That is not a
No,
relevant variable here, right?
obviously.
In a diagnostic report, that is a relevant variable. There, the boss is the doctor.
Right.
That is the difference. So let me give you an
Yes.
example where, in such situations, things haven't worked. Okay. So, these platforms, na, ये Pristine Care and ये जो online practo consulting platforms हैं, right?
Right, right, right.
So उसमें जो doctors होते हैं उनको मैं जानता नहीं, right? I just go onto the Practo platform. There are ratings of doctors. I go and visit those doctors because Practo says that they are good doctors, right? I did I mean this is 1.5 years back data, so थोड़ा सा dated data है, but I did a general check on about 50 such patients who had gone and done such uh, uh, availed such services through Practo, Pristine Care, and all that. 10% of those patients said they will again use the platform, maybe even less than 10%. बिकॉज वो जिस डॉक्टर के पास गए वो ऐसा 50 टेस्ट लिख दिया, जिस डॉक्टर के पास गए वो ऐसा एग्जॉर्बिटेंट कंसल्टेंसी फीस मांग लिया, या जिस डॉक्टर के पास गए उसको आइडिया ही नहीं था कि क्या डायग्नोसिस करना है, उसने दूसरे डॉक्टर को दे दिया. किसी डॉक्टर का अपॉइंटमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म पे दिखाया, पहुंचे तो बोलता है अपॉइंटमेंट ही नहीं है आपका. स्टफ लाइक दैट. आई मीन one or two of these things could be technical glitches, but the other is a trust deficit problem, right? So I don't know how. I haven't checked Practo's numbers, but after doing this exercise, I did not bother checking Practo's numbers. I said, "रहने दो, ठीक है." So the other, let me take you to the other end of the spectrum also. So the other end of the spectrum is the hospitals. आपको पता है ना, हर हॉस्पिटल के अंदर एक डायग्नोस्टिक लैब होता है, राइट? आपको पता है कि वो लैब भी वही टेस्ट करता है जो थायरोकेयर करता है,
Yeah,
और वो लैब आपसे 5 या 6x प्राइस लेता है थायरोकेयर का,
exactly. I was supposed to say that only right now.
राइट?
Yes,
आप पे करते हो कि नहीं करते हो?
obviously, because there you are the captive customer of that
यू आर
hospital.
कैप्टिव.
You don't
तो
you
ये
don't have
तीनों
any
मॉडल,
choice.
हाँ, सो मेरा पॉइंट क्या है, ये तीनों मॉडल को एग्जिस्ट करेंगे. बात ये है कि कौन कितना फटाफट स्केल अप कर सकता है. तो ये जो डिसरप्टर वाला मॉडल है, इसका स्केल अप का डेटा तो आ ही रहा है ना अपने पास. हेल्दियंस को आए हुए मार्केट में 8 साल हो गया. दे केम इन 2014. आज 2021 का नंबर है मेरे पास हेल्दियंस का. 70 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन और 45 करोड़ का लॉस, और बैलेंस शीट पे कुछ 85 या 86 करोड़ का कैश पड़ा है. सो 2 साल का ऑपरेटिंग कैश फ्लो पड़ा है बैलेंस शीट पे. थर्ड ईयर क्या होगा? इसको कोई डेट तो देगा नहीं.
Right,
ही हैव टू डाइल्यूट इक्विटी. अभी इस मार्केट में इक्विटी कौन देगा?
right.
तो
No,
यू
so
हैव टू लेट द
my
साइकिल प्ले. हाँ.
yeah, my point was exactly this only. So I completely agree that even though disruption has not happened in the sense that Ola Uber is also not making money, but जो काली पीली टैक्सी वाले हैं उनका बिजनेस तो गया ना. दैट इज व्हाट आई एम वरीड अबाउट. उनका बिजनेस वैसा नहीं रहा ना जैसा इनके आने के पहले था.
दैट इज ट्रू. सो वो थोड़ा इम्पैक्ट है काली पीली पे. बट मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, वो काली पीली का डायग्नोस्टिक में डायरेक्ट रीड अक्रॉस नहीं है. दैट इज माई अंडरस्टैंडिंग. अभी
राइट
तो नहीं है, क्योंकि एज आई सेड अगेन, काली पीली में डॉक्टर के पास नहीं जाना आपको. सो यू
राइट
नॉट, देयर इज नॉट अ डॉक्टर देयर हु इज गोइंग टू चेक वेदर तू काली पीली से है कि तू उबर से है.
एग्जैक्टली
यहाँ पे एक वो डॉक्टर चेक करेगा ना आपका रिपोर्ट. आपके हाथ में रिपोर्ट आ गई, फिर क्या? 100 रुपए में करा लिया, रिपोर्ट आ गई, देन व्हाट? फिर तो डॉक्टर
राइट
के पास जाओगे ना.
राइट. No, now I get it. Thank you so much.
हाँ.
Aditya sir, I believe exactly this is the same argument why Indian pharmaceutical companies have been FMCG like. I believe doctor बीच में है, so doctor's pad is everything. I believe.
Bang on the head. एकदम सही.
Yeah.
Yeah, high tech
See,
will be.
हाँ, अगर डॉक्टर आपको एक दवाई का प्रिस्क्रिप्शन देता है और आप जाके दूसरी दवाई लेते हो क्योंकि वो 15 रुपए सस्ता था, और उसके बाद आप फॉलोअप के लिए डॉक्टर के पास जाओगे, तो डॉक्टर बोलेगा फार्मासिस्ट के पास ही चले जाओ जब उसी का बात सुनना है तो.
Not possible. Not possible.
नहीं होता.
हमारे पेरेंट्स ही नहीं सुनते हैं, कोई नहीं सुनता है. It's not possible.
अरे मैं आपको अपना एग्जांपल देता हूँ. माय डैड हैज हाई कोलेस्ट्रॉल. ठीक है, कोलेस्ट्रॉल में मेरे ताऊजी जो डॉक्टर हैं, फैमिली फिजिशियन, ही रोट हिम प्रिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ क्रेस्टोर. क्रेस्टोर इज रोजुवास्टैटिन, ये अपना एस्ट्राजेनेका का. Now there is a Jupiter trial done by Pfizer in 2018, which clearly indicates, has all the data that you need, that Crestor versus Lipitor. Lipitor is an older version; it's a torvastatin. Lipitor is the older version, and Crestor is the newer version. It's rosuvastatin. Crestor is more expensive, and Lipitor is cheaper because Crestor is newer, Lipitor is older. So my Tauji gave him Crestor, and that Jupiter trial Pfizer did clearly shows, out of 30,000 patient trial, it shows that in each and every patient, the arm, the Lipitor was better tolerated and had the same efficacy as Crestor. So अगर same efficacy और side effect ज्यादा है Crestor में, तो Crestor को लेने का कोई कारण ही नहीं है. So I explained that to my dad. Dad said, तू बच्चा है, मैं 10 साल से ले रहा हूँ, चुप रहे. And that's it. The argument ended there. Okay. So, वो डॉक्टर का ट्रस्ट का फैक्टर, मतलब हम लोग क्या इंटेलेक्चुअल आर्ग्यूमेंट मार रहे हैं इधर एक साथ बैठ के. गो टू अ हॉस्पिटल, स्टेयर इट इन द आईज ऑफ द डॉक्टर एंड टेल हिम कि तेरा लैब महंगा है, मैं बाहर से टेस्ट कराऊं. डू दैट ना, करके बता. वो किसी से नहीं होता है, पर हाँ वो बैठ के एक आर्ग्यूमेंट जरूर कर सकते हैं कि अरे डिसरप्ट हो जाएगा. डजंट वर्क दैट वे.
That exactly is the thing that creates a lot of opportunities for us. So
It does.
I'm very happy that it happens, at least on the intellectual side.
I agree with you. So it does create opportunities. I mean, all of our opportunities have been because of such rhetorics. I keep writing, पता नहीं अपने ट्विटर पे मैं लिखता रहता हूँ, rhetoric versus data. I don't know how many people read it, but वो rhetoric versus data इसीलिए लिखता हूँ क्योंकि जो लोग बोलते हैं और जो डेटा दिखाता है ना, sometimes there is absolutely no connect. And I'm so surprised that people, जैसे MNC Pharma, right? I mean, I mean, there is absolutely no connect between what those stocks do and what the underlying business is doing. But okay, so be it.
Well, actually, I loved your report on the diagnostic sector, where you actually found out all the companies which are, health tech companies, and showed their numbers. Like, see, this is what they have done after 5, 7, 10 years, and you say that they are going to disrupt Dr. Lal or Metropolis or Krishna, whatever.
अरे
that
incremental revenue, my point was कि incremental market share भी lower है.
yeah.
It started from a small base, that is different. ठीक है. Incremental market share भी गिर रहा है. So disruption किधर है? He's dying a slow, painful death.
Yeah.
Aditya sir, can I ask
Yes,
one
yes.
question?
हाँ, sorry यार, high tech sir, please go ahead sir.
Sure. I think हम काफी discuss कर रहे हैं disruptions के लिए, and
Yeah.
whatever I have sort of read about and listened to all the discussion, diagnostic is all about trust at the scale.
It is.
Yeah. So just a question that for the established players, what is the one risk wherein this trust at a scale can go down, wherein their terminal value will also go down?
See, trust. So जैसे I remember एक बार आमिर खान का वो एपिसोड आया था, सत्यमेव जयते. Do you guys saw that? Did you guys see that
Yes.
episode? हाँ, तो उसमें उसने एक डायग्नोस्टिक चेन का ओनर को लेके आया जो बोला मैं डॉक्टर्स को पैसा नहीं देता, एंड इसलिए मेरे टेस्ट सस्ते हैं, राइट?
Yeah.
एंड इसलिए दूसरे लैब ज्यादा चार्ज करते हैं बिकॉज दे गिव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी टू डॉक्टर्स एंड आई डोंट पे डॉक्टर्स, सो आई एम चीपर, सो कम टू माय लैब. So, and that episode was fairly well publicized across platforms, social and TV, whatever existed at that point in time. Despite that, Dr. Lal grew 20-25% the next year. I am not saying Dr. Lal gives money to doctors, don't get me wrong. I am just saying ki nothing changes, boss. You hear, you laugh, you think, you do some intellectual introspection, and then you go back to sleep and wake up the same way you were the earlier morning. So, what will lead to a terminal risk of these current diagnostic chains in the next 20 years? तो कुछ नहीं दिखता. Over the long term, really long term, which means 30, 40, 50 years. So the fact that Mankind Pharma, Lupin Diagnostics, Aster DM Diagnostics, Max Diagnostics, these guys are gearing up. These guys are doing capex. They are saying we will challenge. Because हुआ क्या है ना, ये diagnostic players are completely non-pharma, non-healthcare guys, right? These are individuals that suddenly came up with a diagnostic model and they succeeded and scaled, right?
Yeah.
तो अब वो पंगे हो गए बेसिकली कि यार इनसे मिस हो गया मैक्स और मैक्स हो चाहे एस्टर हो चाहे लुपिन हो चाहे मैनकाइंड हो, इनसे मिस हो गया. But now they realize it's a very profitable business and they realize they already have equity with the doctor and the patient, which is what is required. Trust. They already have the trust, right? So they're trying to leverage on that trust. But although they're trying to do that, so Pathkind Labs के भी नंबर मैंने वो अपने रिपोर्ट में डाला था. Pathkind Labs को आई थिंक 6 साल हो गए, 5 साल हो गए एग्जिस्टेंस में. उसका भी टॉप लाइन 70 करोड़ है और लॉस 45 करोड़ है. बट उसने 5 साल में वो किया है जो हेल्दियंस ने 8 साल में किया है. 70 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन और 45 करोड़ का लॉस, दोनों का सेम है. So I see Pathkind becoming profitable over a period of time. Pathkind ने अभी लॉस इसलिए कर रहा है क्योंकि वो सेंटर्स खुलते जा रहा है, कलेक्शन सेंटर्स. एंड ऑब्वियसली नया सेंटर इज अ नया रिटेल स्टोर, टेक्स टाइम टू ब्रेक इवन. तो दैट आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड. हेल्दियंस में क्या खाली प्लेटफॉर्म है, वो आज भी ब्लीड कर रहा है क्योंकि वो प्लेटफॉर्म डजंट जनरेट इनफ रेवेन्यू. देयर इज नथिंग अबाउट अ जेस्टेशन पीरियड देयर. 8 साल हो गया, देयर इज नो जेस्टेशन लेफ्ट ऑन द प्लेटफॉर्म. So that is the difference. So which is why I feel कि if you're talking about specifically the incumbents like Metropolis, Dr. Lal, Thyrocare, SRL, to them the biggest risk is the new brick and mortar guys, which is your Lupin, your Mankind, your Max Diagnostics, your these guys, Aster Diagnostics, etc., etc.
No, rightly so, Aditya sir. Actually, I was just looking at it from much more like commodity versus branding thing. Like if you look at any of the incumbent players, so they have the same set of technology. They have like same set of models with respect to. I know their segmentation are different, but their models are like same hub and spoke model and all. And similarly, they look at like the investment with the on the branding, on the doctors, etc. But if someone, as Buffett generally mentions, like someone with a huge amount of capital would like to replicate over a large amount of time, so that's the biggest risk rather than the technology
Absolutely.
platforms.
But that large amount of time is 20, 30 years, not 2 years, 3 years.
Okay, no, that's a really insight.
क्योंकि Pathkind has already been for 5-6 years ना. Pathkind
Yeah.
is mankind का laboratory chain. 70 crore का top line है. 45 crore का loss है.
No, that's thank you, Aditya sir, for the insights.
Yeah.
So, Aditya sir, like, do you think that companies like Lupin and the other pharmaceutical companies that are entering the pharma diagnostics now, do they have the patience for 20 years? Because that is something that will be required if you really want to scale up that big. And they already have that business, other businesses which will always be profitable. For example, India business will be so much profitable, and this business will always languish compared to the India business. So when the next promoter change happens, or when the next CEO happens, wouldn't he just write it off? That's what happens most of the times. Will they have the 10-15 year horizon that is required to disrupt diagnostics?
So I'll tell you, Anish, I'm happy that they're doing it. And I'm happy because, see, India business has been cash flow positive for them for the last 30, 40 years, ever since they started the business. What they have done with the cash is they have built big fancy plants for US FDA to come and audit and flag it off. Right? So, excluding diagnostics, when they are investing money, they're investing in US where the return on equity is, for most of them, are today negative. For some of them, it is single digit positive. Okay? So, and then also you don't know which direction the ROE is headed because there are just so many variables involved that even the company doesn't know where it is headed. So when these pharma companies, they give you guidance on margin or top line growth, you should take it with a grain of salt because they don't know how their US business is going to evolve. Because it's not in their hands. It's a competition driven business. They don't need to do anything different. If the competition does something different, the outcome for them will be different. So how will they guide you? How will they guess what is the competition going to do? Right? So my point is, instead of the mentality. So why are they investing in the US today? Because dividend nahi dena. See, as a promoter, 20, 30, 40, 50 crore salary, I don't really care about dividend. Right? So, but my India business throws cash every year, every quarter. What do I do with the cash? So I can go and invest in US. That's an endless investment. I can go and invest in innovation. That's an endless investment. Or I can invest in diagnostics, which today might seem like an endless investment, but 10, 20 years, it will start paying you back. So from a really long-term perspective, the diagnostic investment is actually very, very good because it just connects the dots. Now you're someone who has pharma and diagnostic and have multiple touch points with the same doctor. So maybe the wallet share of the doctor will also go up. But having said that, your point on whether a new generation can come and just write it off, they can. But then what will the new generation do about the cash flow that the India business will generate? Will they invest in US? If so, my bad luck if I am a shareholder in that company. If not, if they decide to pay dividend, I'm still okay. Pay dividend if you don't want to invest in diagnostics. Or third, keep the diagnostic chain alive, keep investing because you see the promise out there. And you see the traction. See, we can't appreciate these things because we are investors and not businessmen. But a businessman on this call, as some of these guys who are asking question to Volumani, they were actually in the trade. So they will know the importance of touching the same customer from different angles. Okay. So your MR goes to promote your drugs and then another manager goes to promote your diagnostic chain. The wallet share is definitely going to go up. Your one business will synergize in the other business and you can't really differentiate that. Synergy, you can't quantify it, but that synergy exists. I don't know if it makes sense.
Makes all the sense. Makes all the sense. At the end of the day, if they have that sort of a time horizon, and as you said, some of the promoters have, so then it's fine. Then it's fine. Like, but if they are thinking of it as a
fast cash source where they can make 50, 100 crores of cash flows in the next 5 years. That is not going to happen.
नहीं होगा वो नहीं होगा. That they also know. See, they built the India business, no? That's a branded business.
Yes.
They know what a 10-year gestation period is.
Yes.
Aditya sir, just a follow-up question, if I may.
Go ahead, please.
Like,
यार मैं मैच देखने के लिए जग रहा हूँ तो मैं 11 बजे चला जाऊंगा.
Okay. So if I look at like the value chain overall, yeah, of the diagnostic industry, and look at what is the fixed cost versus variable cost proportion. So
Right.
over years, the model has changed to variable cost, like lal paths and metros. So they with respect to their collection centers, whether the collection people, etc. Say everything is sort of like pseudo outsourced model. So for the new brick and mortar players like Lupin and Mankind, is it not something that because the model has been proven with respect to shifting fixed cost to variable cost, that 20-year period can be cut down, wherein the margins, which is like in the range of 23 to 28% for let's say Metro and Metropolis and Lal Path Lab, they can start coming down early, and by the time of 20 years it is much more of a commodity business at the end of the years. Would the thinking process is sort of
No, you're right. No, you're right. I think that is a possibility here. The only thing is ना ये जो cost efficiency and shifting cost to variable to fixed, I don't think focus यहाँ आएगा in the next decade. क्योंकि that is not the starting point. See, again, ये pharma promoters जो diagnostic शुरू कर रहे हैं, I don't think they are doing it for the profits. They are doing it for the multiple touch points to the doctor and eventually profits. So, something which is captive, I can outsource it 5 years later also if I feel the need to, right? And just because it is internal, it doesn't mean that it is slow. I can hire people fatafat, na? I can hire people from Metropolis and Dr. Lal themselves. Yeah, Aster DM hired the entire team of Dr. Lal in South, right? तो साउथ का पूरा टीम डॉक्टर लाल को उठ के स्टेडियम चला गया. So that can be done overnight. I can get the people, I can get the processes with the people and all that, right? So वो चैलेंज ही नहीं है. चैलेंज है कस्टमर, चैलेंज है ब्रांड इक्विटी, चैलेंज है ट्रस्ट. So all these Pathkind, Lupin Diagnostics, Lupin talks about like a total of 5 minutes in a 2-hour call because they say diagnostics, so we should look at types, right? But if you think about Lupin's, if you go and talk to Lupin specifically for diagnostics and pick their brains for 15-20 minutes, they'll tell you कि अभी profit छोड़ ही दो. It is purely about building the brand of Lupin Diagnostics in front of the doctor. And again, they are going to the same doctors who are writing their drugs. So it is about वो लुपिन का नाम डॉक्टर दिन में 2 नहीं 4 बार सुनता है. 2 बार जब एमआर जाता है, 2 बार जब डायग्नोस्टिक वाला जाता है. That will expand the wallet share of Lupin. So I think what you're saying makes sense, but I think it's too soon to be worrying about that in their evolution cycle. They're too early to think about it today.
Sure, Aditya sir. But I think you've mentioned quite a point that these Lupin and Mankinds are entering into diagnostic not for early profits but increase their touch points so that they are looking at it much more comprehensive business sense rather than a vertical of a business from a diagnostic only perspective.
100%, na?
Which is quite dangerous.
Dangerous in what sense?
Dangerous in a sense that because there is a sort of like they may be looking at profit in a different vertical but not in diagnostics, which means that for them is diagnostic is just an investment wherein the return will come from their pharma business or some other businesses, and which will sort of impact Dr. Labs or Metropolis for that matter, obviously in a long term. I'm not taking a 5-year or 7-year period, but at a more longer period.
Yeah. So in that way, yes, they can be a bit dangerous with their strategies also, if they wanted to. And I think Pathkind is. But again, I'll come back to that. So Pathkind, like Mankind, by the way, I don't know how many of you have studied Mankind. It's a private company, so I don't expect many of you do. Mankind is a lower price pharma player, right? So they sell their drugs more in tier 2, tier 3, towns and more in outskirts of cities because उनका lower ticket size होता है drug का. For the same drug that Lupin will be selling, Mankind will be like 50-60% of the price. तो वैसे ही Pathkind lab जो है उसके prices भी काफी कम है compared to the organized diagnostic chains, despite being brick and mortar. So they are not online, they're brick and mortar, but they're सस्ता brick and mortar. Okay. उसके बावजूद 5 साल में 70 करोड़ और 45 करोड़ ना. So they are being aggressive. But कहाँ है result? वो focus on the fact that 5 साल में Mankind, which doctors already know, cheaper, और अभी नॉर्थ में लॉन्च किया है जहां पे उसका ब्रांड इक्विटी हाईएस्ट है, वहां पे वो 70 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन और 45 करोड़ का लॉस किया है इन 5 years, right?
Got it.
So you see this tells you the fabric of the business, right? This is not something I can explain to you. This is something that your gut has to tell you कि यार 5 साल में अगर उस कंपनी ने उस अपने घर में, वो एनसीआर दिल्ली उसका घर है, वहां पे 70 करोड़ का टॉप लाइन और 45 करोड़ का लॉस है आफ्टर 5 years of operations, then the incumbent has something on the table, right?
Rightly so, Aditya sir. Thank you for all the insights.
No problem.
Hello, Aditya sir.
Tantimala.
Yeah. Sir, so here in Type 2 and Type 3 cities are in most of the like unorganized labs are there. So, what will be the like chance to replace like organized market to unorganized market in like Type 2 and Type 3 cities?
Sorry, I did not get the question, but if it is about unorganized to organized, तब तो मैं जवाब दे सकता हूँ. Organized to unorganized, I don't feel is possible anymore because the way the tax networks and GST and all that, I know very few unorganized labs who are able to manage their tax filing, let alone run a diagnostic business in today's environment.
Okay, and like see, if any hospital is starting, they need to set up one diagnostic center. Okay, so any of those organized like companies are trying to reach them and set up one diagnostic center, and they'll give some like some percentage to their hospital. Is any diagnostic centers are trying
Yeah. So already many of these diagnostic companies do that. They call it O&M, operate and maintenance contract.
that is best
Sometimes,
business model, right? Yeah.
sorry?
That is best business model, right? Like when compared to convert to unorganized to organized.
Yeah, so that is in a way converting unorganized to organized because you are going to the nursing home. Let's say you have a 10-bed nursing home in your locality, which runs a diagnostic center with, I don't know, 50 tests. So what an Aster is doing or what a Narayana is doing, they are going to those nursing homes and saying, ki, let me run your diagnostic center or let me run your hospital altogether. You own the asset. You just pay me a fees for running it. Or the other way you can do it is I can take the entire asset from you. I will pay you rentals, lease rentals on your asset base. So you make your 10-12% ROE. And whatever I make from the hospital is then mine.
Okay.
So there are various ways of doing this unorganized to organized. It's happening. Apollo, Aster, Narayana, HCG, they're all sort of trying to expand that way because it's a very asset light way of expanding.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pratik. Pratik, you can unmute, and I think he got dropped.
I think Anish also got dropped there. I think उसके लिए भी कुछ questions होंगे नहीं?
I can't see him, sir. I think he dropped out of the space. So let me try connecting Pratik only, sir, and then we will wrap it up. We are getting so many questions. We already took almost 45 minutes of yours, so won't take many requests for now. Yeah, Rachit, in the meantime, you can ask your quick question, please.
Rachit, you're on mute, so if you're asking whether I can't hear you. Okay, I don't think Rachit is asking because he can't hear us.
Right, sir.
So we don't have any more requests, sir. We are not taking actually. So thank you so much for sparing time for us, and it was really nice to have you again and again, sir.
No, thank you so much for getting Dr. Velumani. His insights are always very, very
Yeah, sir.
valuable. So thank you
Indeed,
so
yes,
much.
sir. Okay. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you everyone for joining today and asking very good questions from Aditya and Velumani sir, and keep adding value to our spaces, and basically a mutual learning space we have. And thanks for coming. Good night. Take care and do connect with our handles.